Boom. There it
Yo,
is.
yo, yo.
Right to it, man. It just cuts off the music, cuts off the intro thing, and we're just getting right at it. GM, hope you guys are doing well. Today is Tuesday. It is Tuesday, September 16th. Halfway through another month. My goodness.
Yes, sir. I'm
What's
excited
up,
to
man? Today's
not
gonna be
much, man.
spicy, just so you guys know. I think we're coming in hot and heavy, locked and loaded, ready to go. So if you got sensitive ears, if you are a snowflake, fucking go away.
Yeah. If you are sensitive, if you are offended by my hat, you might want to go away. We're not going to get. We're trying not to
If
be.
your hair is green, blue, or purple, you're gonna want to tune out right
You
now.
might want to tune out, or you're going to be very engaged in the comments, and I'm sure it will be interesting there. So, welcome to everybody. This is Trust Me, Bro. It is just going to be me and Jay Chase today. Jenna is busy kicking some ass in some training. We encouraged her to, even though we like to give her crap, we encouraged her to, she's what's the fight, Jay?
Like coming down to the nitty gritty, man. Here, so today is what, the 16th. I'm actually flying to Vegas the 18th through like the 22nd. To go do some final last training with Ken, because he's also fighting Grimace there. I'm going to be cornering for him.
Fighting Grimace. He's fighting Grimace where?
In Singapore.
Oh! I thought you're saying he's fighting in Vegas and in Singapore. I'm like, wait a minute, what?
So
Did I miss something?
We'll do some sparring, and so we're gonna this last week to get him ready, and then the 26th, everybody's flying out to Singapore. So the fight is October 1st. So we're getting down to the nitty gritty for that crypto fight night. So make sure you guys get coming in for that.
I am not going to be there. I've got some stuff going on with my daughter, combined with the fact that, just candidly, I could probably figure out something for that. I'd never like to BS or stroke. It's a lot of flying for a small amount of time that I would be there, combined with the stuff I've got going on at home. I can't make it happen. But we're going to be traveling soon. I will see you at worst, I would say. I guess at the very worst, we would be at December. I'm sure you'll be at
whatever you're okay. Actually, we've talked about this before. I recently got this thing, and I got some. We got one for my wife too. But on Frontier Airlines, they had this crazy sale. Yeah. I was looking for like this flight pass where you could go. It was like the fall pass, which would be September through February. And so it was like $300, and you get unlimited. You could fly as much as you want. You only pay the taxes on the flight, so they're usually like $15, right? And so I had gotten this thing, and I tested it out on the flight to Austin. Everything worked great. Sometimes you might have to connect. You don't always get in a direct flight, but whatever. And so going out to Vegas, doing the same thing. But man, that means honestly, like I could maybe on one of these Tuesdays or whatever, we'll figure it out. Zip in the morning, shoot the show, and then zip back out in the afternoon.
Yeah, cool. I'm with it. Hey, it's pretty quiet right now. Should we just at least on X let people know that we are live? I don't know if either of us did that, which might be I don't know, might be a problem. It's just throwing out there if we want to grab some more people. Last week was hot and heavy. I feel like we've got a lot of really good conversations, so we'll ease into it. But I think we should definitely let some people know that we are live. I can jump into my X right quick, and let me get the shareable link. Jay, how's your week been while I'm doing this? How's your week been? Anything? I mean, you've been doing traveling and stuff, right? So what was going on? Didn't talk to me about, did you do some training with Blonde Broker?
Yeah. So, was it Friday? Yeah, Friday. I shot a flight over to Austin, Texas, and then got to hang out with my buddy. We rode bikes. We rode man. It was the first time I've done this in a very long time, but we rode several miles of bikes. Got some fresh air, touched some grass over in Austin on Friday, and then Saturday was the UFC Noche.
Oh, yeah?
And the UFC Noche celebrates the Mexican heritage. It happened to also be Mexican Heritage Week, and so it was a double whammy. And I will tell you, man, the vibe in the stadium Saturday in San Antonio was awesome. The fights were amazing. The first fight was really cool. It was actually for a Contender Series contract, and so this dude, he was like a Viking man. He like beat the shit out of his opponent. The guy's face was all bloody. He like grabbed the opponent's blood and like wiped it on his face, like afterwards. Dude, it was crazy. And he ended up getting his contract, so good for him. And then Fighting Nerds, man, they took another L. Diego Lopez beat the shit out of what's his name, Ortiz. And so yeah, that was it. That one got stopped and everything. So it was a great fight night. And then just flew back on Sunday. Today's Tuesday, right? Yeah. So that was my weekend, man. Got to check it out in Texas.
But you're still not even home, right?
No, flew back to Chicago. So we are here until I believe tomorrow morning. Going to leave at like 5 a.m. Head back to ATL, and then I got to turn right back around and fly to Vegas, man. As I'll be home for like 24 hours and then back on the road.
Rough life. Let me say hi to the chat real quick. Mike Volmer in the house. Good to see you, bro. We got D-Gen, Brian. Actually, I saw your boy, my boy as well. Where is he? Eric. Eric is in the chat. Good to see you, bro.
Let's go.
Let's see here. Adventureful Mama. Hello. Kenneth Gardner. That's Desert Crypto. Who else? Doom is in the house.
My guy Eric Ville. Let's go. What's up, G? I'll see you in just a couple weeks out in Singapore, my guy. He's fighting Ken.
Who is?
Grimace, Eric, the guy that I
Yeah.
fought in Dubai. Yeah, he's fighting Ken. That's his retirement fight, but I told him, I was like, get ready. And maybe we won't rematch for the belt, motherfucker. But I will pull you out of retirement and I will fight you next year.
Crypto Billy, good
What's
afternoon. Patriot Caveman says, what are we talking about? Well, we're about to talk about the cancer in our society. So
not only just in our society, Nick, Keeper, we got to talk about the cancer that is people in crypto. Because unfortunately, some of y'all motherfuckers are disgusting people.
Oh yeah. Let's kind of ease into it. I had a very interesting. How was your
weekend?
I had a very interesting week. Had a great week with family. Was doing a lot of fun stuff with my daughter. I do a lot of in a world, and I think this kind of maybe will lead us into where we're going. In a world that is so consumed with the screen, right? With the phone, with the computer screen, with the iPad, with all of that. I'm not the parent that says, you're getting an exact number of minutes of quote unquote screen time, because I don't think that that's exactly healthy. I also understand that technology is where the world is heading, and you have to have access to and understand. You're going to get behind if you just totally restrict it. But at the same time, I see, and I had a conversation with somebody yesterday at the park. There is so many things that we as 80s babies, I'll say, okay, did that were so good for, I feel like, just the soul and being just we were able to entertain ourselves. I hear so many kids nowadays say, Mom, Dad, I'm bored. What should I do? Like, no imagination, no ability to entertain themselves. All they want to do is sit in front of an iPad or in front of a screen or whatever. And so in that world that I feel like we live in, I have really tried to encourage doing outdoors things. So over the weekend, me, my girlfriend, her son, and my daughter went down to her family's farm. And one of the places that they have down there is a big, beautiful pond. It's where we went for 4th of July. And a bunch of family and friends went there. There's fishing. There's a huge water slide there. We're shooting water balloons. We're playing cornhole. We're catching frogs. We're catching crayfish. Like, doing all of these outdoorsy things. We're doing a fish fry. We're doing all of these things that I feel like are very, America type things that I think are very, very good for children as a whole, just to be able to grow, right, as opposed to just sitting in front of a screen. So all of that just to say, my last week was filled with a lot of that type of stuff. But while that was happening, it was also, being somewhat attached at the same time to my screen because of all of the just disgusting things that we had happen over the last week and the chaos,
Well, okay, before we get into that, on a psychological level, let's talk about this. Do you think, where does the addiction come from? Is it and I say the addiction just because that's probably the easiest way to describe it. Is it the I have to have the knowledge, I can't get left out, I have to know what's going on? Like, what's the psychology between, like, or for the reason of why people have just gotten attached to these things?
Attached. I think honestly, addiction, I think, is a great word to use. We get a dopamine hit from, and this is proven, this is scientifically proven, that we get dopamine hits, which are your pleasure, your brain receiving pleasure from the, so why TikTok has been so successful and why it took off so fast and so hard was because it was fast, hard hitting, changing, boom, 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 and we're getting dopamine hit, and you could slide through, boom, one thing. And so I think that there is a level of real deal addiction there that's happening, because we're getting to, when you wake up in the morning, they say that one of the worst things you can do is pick up your phone and immediately start scrolling. Right. But most people do it. I have tried.
You check the prices a moment.
Yes.
Twitter,
but whatever. I have tried. So for me, I feel like my days go better if I do. Most of you know I'm a Christian, and one of the things that I like to do, I don't always act like it, and that's a personal problem that I need to work on. But I like to do my devotions first thing in the morning, and so for a long time I was making sure to, I would do it on my phone. The problem that I ran into there is that I'm still getting alerts on that same phone, and dude, it's so distracting, right? And so very quickly it would throw off my train of thought, or it would throw off just like, oh, let me just check that real quick. Oh, shoot, I got to handle this. Then work would come in, one thing, after the next. And I felt like I needed to just actually go over to my Bible and have my phone just off to the side. So I think the first thing that you're asking, I think that there is a physical part of that. I think the other part is that we live in a world where, let's take the content creator side out of it. We live in a world where everybody has all of the information right now. And what you said, I think, is a big part of it. People don't want to feel left out. They want to feel in the know. They want to be able to have the conversation. They want to feel a part of, and they feel a part of by when the water cooler conversation happens. Did you hear about da 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 da? They're like, yeah, and let me give you my opinion. Let me tell you what I think.
They want to be able to, whether it's voice or type their opinion, whatever, they want to be heard. Really quick, like going back to some of like the actual technical aspects of this, somebody had said to me once before, like, and if you think about like the phantom ring, like you're just sitting and you're like, oh, like I just felt my phone like ding in my pocket, right? And it makes you look when there's nothing on there. But then then you get sucked and you go back into your phone. Like that's actually your phone. Actually, it's not a phantom. It is your phone buzzing to get you to get back into your phone because you've left it alone for too long.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh? Really? I've never heard this.
That's crazy, right? I could probably do some.
I've never heard that. I thought that it was our just our brains being so used to just boom, boom, just always feeling that boom. You're saying that the phones are actually saying, hey, you've put me away for too long. We need to give you a little alert. Is this a rabbit hole type thing, or is this a...
So phantom vibration syndrome is one thing that it's called, but it says while phantoms notifications can refer to a psychological phenomenon, they are often real technical glitches or unintended app behaviors. The user's perception of a real phantom notification is valid as it originates from a software issue rather than the user's mind. And I wouldn't believe that for a fucking second. In my mind, that is your phone, that is the app, that is whatever. There's something built into that it will do that. Because you think like with an Apple Watch, it's a strange thing. I feel like there's a set time that when I put it on, I will get a buzz and I look at it and it says, be mindful of your wellness or whatever. Like it's a timed triggered response. And I would feel like if that's a real thing, that there is a timed triggered response in here that if I don't open this thing within 30 minutes, I'm getting a buzz. So I think that there is a reason for me to open it.
And I get weird things with my emails where I'll get a cluster of all of a sudden kind of out of nowhere at certain times where I get boom, and it's alerting me of like multiple emails at a time. And it's usually been at a time where my phone has been down for a little while. That's a good point. I've never really thought that through. He said it's the CCP updating
I love that, Brian. Great comment.
That's good. Hey, everybody, if you're not following myself and or Jay Chains on one platform or another, do us a favor. Go to all of our platforms, whether it's X or whether it's YouTube or TikTok or whatever. Just give us a follow. We would appreciate it. And smash the like, because it's like the one thing that you can do for free that like
doesn't cost you anything, and it helps us out. It really helps us out. You get enough of you jabronis to smash the like, and then you trigger the algo, and then we got more friends watching. Because I had seen and actually a comment in here from, let me just see here. Let me scroll down. From Hunter Guy, GM Hunter Guy. Hope you're well. Thanks for joining. He says, first time visiting. I got a random alert about your live stream, even though I don't follow you guys.
Nice.
I like it. If enough of y'all jabronis smash the like button, more people like Hunter are going to pop in and hang out with us.
Right. Well, Hunter, it's a little different show today. We do talk a lot of crypto, and we're going to talk crypto today. But today might hurt some people's feelings. You might support everything that we say. You might hate everything we say, and you might be somewhere in between. I'm going to get raw. I'm going to get real. I know Jay Chains will as well. We like to, it's called Trust Me Bro for a reason. We want to build and forge a relationship. We want to have some fun on the show, but we also want to build and forge a relationship with you so that when we do talk about something, you're like, you know what? We're getting real, unfiltered, unfettered, like access and information from these guys and from Jenna. Like I said, Jenna's not here today. We want you to feel comfortable that we're not spinning you some tale. We're talking from our heart and from our mind and really giving you information as we see it. So that's kind of what I envision us
that up, and I think it goes without saying, listen, I've stayed pretty far away from doing as much because most of the time it's arguing with trolls or arguing with people online is not going to get you anywhere. But at some point, like you said, you got to stand up for it or whatever, talk about it at least. And so that's what we're doing today. Like this whole Charlie Kirk thing. Again, whether you subscribe to the politics or the religion or whatever, the fact that there's some people out there celebrating openly, publicly,
like wildly celebrating. Yes.
You got to be a demented motherfucker to even act like that, knowing that this man was a young father and a husband, and you're celebrating the fact. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah. It's sick, dude. Let's not even start on the crypto part of it. Let's just start on just the human part of it. We live in a world that has become so divided. And I think that social media is part of what I will call the cancer that we have today. We get paid for views. We get paid for clicks. We get paid to push information out, and we get paid almost to try to beat others to the punch. Part of what that breeds is inaccurate, bad information, whether somebody's trying to push out bad information, which happens all the time, or whether somebody's trying to sensationalize information to get clicks, or whether somebody's just trying to be first. All three of those set up and tee it up for a bad, what I view to be a bad outcome. Because let's play it through. You've got somebody that says they get it. So okay, let's go back to Wednesday. I get the information about Charlie Kirk. Right. I hear that this has happened. Somebody sent me the actual unfiltered, like real deal video of it. And I don't know if you'd seen that one, but it's graphic and it's tough. It made me absolutely sick. And here's the deal. It didn't matter that it was somebody that I had the same spiritual beliefs as. It didn't matter that I had the same political affiliations as this person. The fact was, I watched a human being get slaughtered via a bullet on effectively live TV and up close and personal. And dude, it didn't matter who it was. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. And I'm telling you right now, and I promise you, people will try to argue this and say this, that, and the third. There is not one person. There's not one person on planet Earth that I would see that happen and celebrate, because let's be really brutally honest here. I don't care what people have done to other people or how they talk or different beliefs or whatever. If that was your dad, if that was your mom, if it was a woman, if that was your dad, mom, brother, sister, direct family member, short of that person having done the most awful things to you in the privacy of their own home ever, there is absolutely no way on God's green earth you could ever celebrate that. So to me, I see mental illness. I see mental illness coming out of this, and people are so riled up with bad information, a lot of it, that they're willing to celebrate the absolute just slaughter of someone in front of thousands of people on live TV.
Yeah, two things. One, even if something like that happened to Fauci, and I think Fauci is probably someone hated by more people. You know what I mean? Like, no one would be celebrating that except for the degenerate, the mentally deranged people. And I think you look at, and let's just, maybe we can make light of this for here too. It's like, so if even the tranny leader of the transgender movement, you know what I mean? Like something like that happened to them. And I personally believe that is an absolute mental illness. The fact that you would remove your genitals to become a different gender is fucking stupid. Stupid. I mean,
Okay.
you've got a mental illness in this case,
Yeah.
right? 100%. And again, so now you've got this group of these, mentally ill people. If something like this were to happen to that group, I wouldn't be celebrating. A lot of people
No.
wouldn't be. Normal people don't celebrate that stuff, right?
No, not at all. Not at all. And and
And
and
now
and and
we just
something that you just said will really rile some people off and piss them off about you saying that you believe and da 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 da. Listen, here's the reality. Like, we live in a world, and this is my personal beliefs, that God created, and God created a male and a female. And without diving too deep in it, that is my conviction. That is a reality. That is the world that we live in. Now, do I care so much about what you do in the privacy of your own home that I am going to be outspoken about you being able to do it, or that I hate you for it, or that I would celebrate if you were killed because that was something that absolutely freaking not. I
no,
am allowed to stand on my own personal convictions and beliefs and talk about those, and they can be different than yours, because guess what? This would be a really, really boring world if we all walked around and everything I said, the next person agreed with, right? Everything I said, we would be walking around like freaking robots, right? And the thing that's really disturbing to me, well, there's a lot of it, because I've had a lot of stuff in my comments we can get into, but
yeah,
I've had a lot of craziness that has come, but that people are taking, and they've done this for a long time now. And I want to tell you guys, I have been guilty of this. So hear me out here.
I did
People are
want to talk
taking,
about that part too.
yeah. So people are taking information, grabbing it, and then before they even do any research whatsoever, process, verify, validate, do anything, they are immediately jumping on because of their personal convictions, their beliefs, their whatever, and posting a video about it, or posting a comment about it, or posting something. So I'm going to share my experience with this in just a second. I had a comment yesterday. I did a video. I walked into I'll just tell the story real quick. I walked into a restaurant. I could feel this woman, I'll speed it up, really glaring at me. I had this hat on, right? As I'm walking out, she says, freaking racist. And I heard her, right? But I paused, and I was thinking, just very quickly processing. I was like, I need to put this woman in her place in a very, like, just good way, but also be kind, right? So I said, excuse me, what did you say? And she's like, you heard me. And so I respond in this manner. I said, yeah, you know what I did? My wife and children are black. So you might want to think before you make stupid comments like that. And she was silent. The whole table that she was sitting at, silent. And then I said, but you know what? I still love you anyways. I hope you have a good night. Not a word. You could have heard a pin drop. Now, at the end of the video, I then say, side note, my wife and children are not black. However, so I go in and I end up saying, hey, my wife and kids aren't black. And just because it was funny, I had on a cutoff of a Boys in the Hood t-shirt with a black dude on it. And I'm like, come on, use your brain here, right? Like, I'm not the racist guy, right? But somebody came into the comments immediately and said, your wife and kids aren't black. I saw another picture of you and your daughter. You're a liar. She didn't even watch Pat. She heard that,
And that was
went
it. That
immediately,
triggered the response.
and it triggered a response. I've done this, and I hate saying this. I have been guilty. So I told you guys, we want to be raw here. I have gotten information. It has riled me up, and I immediately have posted something on it. Now, I do not do this anymore. I have made a conscious, concerted effort not to do this, because I think that it is part of the cancer and part of the problem, because there's bad information coming from the left and the right. This is not a party politically drawn lines where, like, oh, the right gets it right every time, or the left gets it right every time, or what. No.
We all get it wrong.
They all get it wrong in some form or fashion. So, like, do some research. And so I've been guilty of doing this. I will not do this anymore, but I think that we have seen this happen so much, and people get so invested and so riled up, and they just hear it, and they just boom, and they explode, and then it creates more and more hate and division, and we continue to roll down the hill.
So it's all
Big
part of the
snowball.
cycle.
Yeah.
I agree. I agree with you, and I think it's unfortunate. And like even to like some of the examples that you were given, where people are quick to rush and you respond or you create your post or you do whatever. I was victim of this, and it was someone was trolling, right? Like somebody had posted a troll, and I didn't know that because one, there's no sarcasm font, there's no, how would I know that what you're saying is just a troll? Because I'm not in your head, I'm not in the circle. And I see that, and I feel like that's bullshit information. So you comment it, and everybody, the comments for me is like, yo, bro, just chill out. Like it's a troll. It's like, yeah, but like the troll's not a good thing to troll about. Like, do you get
Right.
that? Like
Mhm.
the original content was such bullshit that I felt like I had to say something, but it ended up not being true. And that was, one case where I'm right there with you, man. I will be quick to comment on something. And I have since taken a step back from that because one, you don't know, you're dealing with idiots, you're dealing with liars, you're dealing with max extractors and manipulators and scammers and ruggers and all that stuff in this space. And it's just at the end of the day, you find that the caliber of people that unfortunately we deal with on the most, and that does not go for everybody, and you guys know that. There
Yeah.
are plenty of people, especially here in the comment section of this video. I've met a lot of you. We've talked for years in the
Yeah.
comments. I know you're good people, but when
Yeah.
like let's move this into the crypto side of this. When you look at like what happened to Charlie Kirk, and within hours you've got about 45 different Charlie Kirk coins.
Dude, what the
Like,
fuck is wrong with
what the
people?
fuck is wrong with you degenerates? Like, you're disgusting people. Like, you're a disgusting person if you participate in that. And I even seen it in Mexi, the exchange they were boasting about how
Oh,
they were
I know. They were like, guess what? We're listing Kirk token or Charlie
like,
Kirk token or whatever. What? You're doing what? As this man's 2 children aren't going to get to, dude, I'm not trying to get emotional, but like I thought so much. I can't believe I'm getting emotional right now. I don't care though. I thought so much about my daughter when I saw this, and I was like, God, if that, like, I will speak truth and I will speak on things. And if my daughter I wasn't able to tuck her in tonight because someone thought differently than me or didn't like what I had to say or the truth that I wanted to speak on. This man was giving an open mic to people to disagree and have conversations. And there were people that were turning their lives over to Christ. There were people that were absolutely genuinely like, it wasn't about change my mind. It was about, hey, let's have an open forum to have a conversation. Because when we shut up and we don't have these conversations, what happens? It's like in a marriage when both sides of the marriage have problems and they don't talk about it, and it builds and it builds and it builds. Guess what? At some point that freaking erupts, dude.
right.
And so I saw all of these people celebrating and talking about all of just saying awful, dude. My comments, I was getting death threats for being supportive of, and I'm seeing a wife and 2 kids that are never going to see their dad again, point blank, period. I don't care your political affiliation. I don't care what or who or where you're from or what you think. You are taking the life of a man who was very influential in our society, whether you liked what he had to say or not, and taking away his family, his God-given ability to speak. And guess what? You didn't murder him, you martyred him, and now his voice is stronger than ever. And this movement, I don't know if you've seen it, dude. He went from 1.6 million followers on Instagram to 10 or 11 million in like overnight. The Turning Point, his company that goes around to the different college campuses and whatnot, had like 40,000 new applications in 2 days. Like, dude, this is absolutely blasting off, and it's people begging for the opportunity to want to share. I think their love at its core, I think it's like, hey, let's have these conversations. And I've said this for so long. Why can we not just talk about this stuff? Why does it have to turn into hate? Why does it have to be, if you think differently than me, then you're wrong and I hate you and you're dead, you're a bigot and you're a racist and you're all of these things.
It's like, what?
Did I wear this hat on purpose today for the stream? Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I absolutely did. Because what I want to get the point across is that I will not blindly listen to something that Donald Trump or Charlie Kirk says and just say, well, because they said it, it's factual information, it's good information, and in what they said, it's got to be good. No, that's absolutely no. If a Republican draws up a bill, does it mean that I'm going to vote for it? No, it doesn't. It does not. I have conservative Christian values, and that's what I see coming from the conservative side of things. So that's what I support. It doesn't mean that I blindly follow anything and everything that somebody that is a conservative or a Republican, does or views or says. And I think too many times that's what we're seeing. We're seeing people blindly following, taking one little clip, one little snippet, one little tidbit of something, and then turning it into this whole thing that It was never even intended or had the purpose for to begin with.
So how do we do that? Because like I don't see social media getting better anytime soon. You know, like these short clips, they're only going to stay short. Like no one will ever build context into what you see. You know, like when you watch the video of some people will call it racist or whatever, when there's an interaction between, you know, maybe a white cop and a black person, and there's something going on, right? And something physical happens or whatever. There is never the context into what happened before that, right? It's just we're going to go on this short clip of video, and you know, if somebody gets hit or somebody gets shot or whatever it is, that's the whole story, and no one gives a fuck about what else happened. You know, let's take and all steps aside, let's look at George Floyd. George Floyd was on drugs. He was peddling counterfeit cash. He had a rap sheet longer than the fucking country. You know what I mean? Like, so this wasn't a good dude. He's not the martyr. He's not the person that this movement should have been built on. And whether you like that or not, and I'm sorry if that hurts your feelings, but you know, like we should be finding better ways to tell the whole context of the story before people jump to conclusions. And again, this is on both sides of the equation, right? Like,
Oh yeah.
we need more context. But the problem is short form content, these clips that go viral, they don't provide any context. And the problem is that that's what goes viral. And that's the only story that people give a shit about.
And it's what pays. It's the social media platforms are just as culpable here as anybody else. The social media platforms, I did a video about this, kind of talking about, hey, is there some sort of a solution? It's not talking about dampering or holding back on free speech. It's like, hey, we are rewarding people for beating each other to the punch with sensational information. And what does it do? It brings people to their platform, more and more people engaging, more and more than people that are, you know, the people that are you know, the companies that are promoting stuff on there, the things that they're selling, like all of that benefits and creates dollars for these massive, you know, institutions, if you will, these massive companies, and it all can come off of the back of something that is just absolute garbage, absolute false, absolute fallacy, absolute hate, just garbage all the way around.
So what can we do?
But we're paying for it. We're paying for it. And we digest it and we soak it up and we suck it up, and we're guilty of it too.
Well, it's part of the it's part of the process, right? And you think, and you know, kind of going what you're saying, like, you know, you first to the punch, first to report, because you got to get the clicks, you got to get the views, you got to make your money, kind of a thing. You know, that I believe is a tactic that was learned from legacy media that unfortunately, again, and I don't want to say like we need to come to all the solutions today, but at some point, like that's got to be part of the conversation is what's next? How do we fix this? Like we know social media is not going anywhere. We know viral content is not going anywhere. In fact, it's probably only going to get bigger. So how do we fix this? And we don't I don't want more censorship, because that's clearly like the antithesis of what we actually want. We can't be, you know, look at Reddit, right? Reddit is like a self-police platform or whatever. And to me, that's one of the worst of them all.
Yeah. I think, and this is my true belief, that we have gotten so far away. Our country was founded, and this will sound like something that Charlie Kirk would say, but this is just what I believe. Our country was founded on a God-centric platform. Our country was formed on the idea God created the world that we live in. We have so much to be thankful for, and here are our God-given rights and our God-given abilities, and our God is mentioned, I think, 13 times in the Constitution, something like that. I need to look up that number. Maybe somebody can correct me in the chat. Look that up. It is the fact that we have gotten so far away, and it's wild because I'm seeing this happen on the other side. I'm going to get into this in a second, but we have gotten so far away from God on one side that people have just created we just see monsters. We see just pure outright evil. Now we're also at the same time seeing a revival of people following Jesus in a way that we've never seen before. We have Christian artists. Do you know Christian music is the fastest growing subset of music in the world right now?
Oh, really?
True story. That is the true.
Bigger than rap? Come on, man.
It is the biggest, fastest growing subset of music in the world right now. So we have this thing that's happening, right? We've got all of these people looking to fill a hole in their lives, because let's be fair. And this is where I'm at, and I've lived this. When I didn't have God in my life, when there was problems, I just wanted to, there was just like this weird sense of chaos and something missing, and I had nowhere to displace. And so I would fight and I would hate and I would do drugs and I would do all of these things. It just didn't have like an outlet, or I had the outlet, but I wasn't using it. And now fast forward to my life now, and I have a relationship with that who I call Jesus, and I go to church on Sundays. And today's Tuesday. I have small group tonight. I have a small group of people. It's 8 of us that get together. And dude, man, we have the best time in the chat. We were talking about being a hoe for cookies and like just dumb stuff, right? Like it's not like, oh, you're a Christian, so you don't have fun, you don't make jokes, you don't do this, you don't do, like, you guys couldn't be farther from the truth, right? I'm teaching my daughter what I believe to be a very good way to be raised. And here's the reality. Whether you believe in the Bible or not, if you take the principles of the Bible and apply them to your life will get better. Point blank, period. That is a freaking fact. If you take the principles out of the Bible, apply them to your life will get better over time. And that's how I want to raise my daughter. And we see this happening, and there's like this power struggle in our world right now. And I think that God is the answer, and we have to figure out how to project that. And I think Charlie did a wonderful job of doing that. He stood so strong on his convictions. He knew the Bible better than just about anybody, yet at the same time was able to step away from the Bible and just talk good, solid information. Here, he was a master debater, as they joked on South Park with that little play on words there. I think it's God. I literally think that it is a godless world that we live in. God needs to be the answer. So
yeah, I've heard a lot of people say that kind of stuff, right? And I think, whether it's, being more spiritual, being more cognizant, maybe it is going full-fledged on, you need to be more religious or add that into your life. Like, I was raised Roman Catholic, right? That was something that, when I was young, I went to Catholic school, kindergarten through 8th grade. That was what we did. I went to church on Sundays. We had some liturgical stuff that we did throughout the week at school. And when I got old enough, like I said, this is not really what I want to be doing with my time. Now, do I still thank God? And do I still, have like those morals and the compass that is inside of my body and in my brain and how I, traject my life? 100%, right? Am I religious? No. I think what I did was I took a lot of those values and those morals and the concepts and ideas, and I said, here's the deal. I think I'm more of a spiritual person at this stage of my life, right? And that doesn't mean that that's not going to change as I get older, and especially now that I have a daughter, right? Because I've got a lot more things to think about. But I think being a good person and living, again, with these morals that you could align them, with Christian values, right? You could think, if anybody were to, and even again, the 10 Commandments, being a Christian and a Catholic are a little bit different, but similar in some ways. If you look at like the whole idea of the 10 Commandments, those are just good principles to like have as a normal person. So
yeah.
you don't have to go to church to be a good person. You don't have to pray to God or Jesus or whoever to be a good person, but you should just be a good person.
Yeah.
Let
me ask you something.
Hard.
When you went to, and I've had this conversation with a lot of people before. My dad was Catholic and he was raised Catholic. And this isn't, I'm not trying to get into a debate about what denomination is right or wrong or what. I hate that. So like for me, it's a relationship issue. It's hey, I have an issue going on in my life, and I have a God in my life, a relationship with Jesus Christ who I turn to and I pray and I talk to and I interact with. Okay, so that's, for me, it's a relationship thing. When you went to school, and from what I've heard from a lot of people with Catholic, it was more of a, what's the word I'm looking for? A legalistic view on life. Like, I'm doing things because I'm told that this is how you'll do it. You're going to get in trouble if you don't do it. You're wrong for X, Y, and Z. You will go to church. Was it ever you were going because you actually wanted to be there, and or was it like, hey, this is what we do. You've got to go. You're in trouble if you don't go, and boom, boom, boom. And it was just, that's what it was.
Without saying that, yeah, like it was not that it was like forced upon us, but there was 5 kids in my family, and my mom did everything she could to make sure that we were raised right, and that was all part of it, right? Like it kept us on the straight and narrow. Whether when you're younger, it's the scare tactic of like, oh, thou shall not swear or else you're going to hell, or that's a little extreme, whatever. But yeah, like you can find that there is that application that it's the scare tactic to get you just to live straight until you get to a little bit older, till you can start to realize like it's just about creating a better value system.
Yeah. I
But I'm telling
genuinely
you, it's like the Catholic faith itself, unto itself, for me was like way too extreme. Plus, it was like living in the Stone Ages, like back in like the 90s and early 2000s, when it was probably actually 90s, because I graduated high school in 2000, so it was throughout most of the 90s, right? Like things were a little bit different back then. They were a
yeah.
little bit different.
Remember as a kid, like my parents raised me in a Christian home. It was not a Catholic home, but most of what we did was either non-denominational or close to non-denominational. For those of you watching that don't know what that is, it's basically just a Bible preaching, Bible believing church. It's not Catholic that has its own kind of set of rules and kind of subset of laws and whatnot. My parents, like said, hey, we're going to church. Looking back on that, I'm very glad that was instilled in me, but I was going because I was told to go. Fast forward, I absolutely, and this, I never thought that this would be a reality in my life, but I look forward to every week going to church. I look forward to going to my small group. I look forward to the praise and worship. I look forward to my devotions in the morning. I look forward to all of these things that I never thought that I would genuinely look forward to. And my life has continued to get better as a result of these things. And I guess I would love to be able to, I fall short all the time. I post videos. I did a video that went semi-viral on Twitter, and I'm dropping the F-bomb left and right and not probably depicting the best version of like, oh yeah, that keeper's got to be a Christian. I mean, listen to this video,
Well, I think the words that you choose to use and how you talk, right, that has no, in my opinion, this is a my opinion thing, because like even like with my daughter around, and I was actually talking about this with my mom today, like when I talk, I swear, and I try not to, but like it's who I am, it's how I talk, and like sometimes people are like, bro, what are you angry for? I'm like, I'm not angry, it's literally just the way I talk, like I might say like, oh fuck this, and it might be something like there's a little bit of dust on the floor or a little bit of spill or like a berry or something. People are like, bro, dude, it's just a blueberry. It's like, yeah, no, I'm cool with it. It's just the way that I talk. It's just some people like they communicate differently, but that doesn't mean like, like you said, like in a video, you might be fuck this, fuck that, whatever. That doesn't mean that you're not a Christian or that like 99% of your life you have those Christian values, but it's sometimes just the way you talk, man.
I agree. I agree with you. But what I'm getting at is the point that when when a lot of people, because they're quick to, especially when people that are do not have a relationship with the Lord, they're quick to want to find issues and find problems and pick things out and say, oh, see that or whatever. I think that when we just talk kind of.
Why did you point at me and say that, keeper?
I didn't point at you and say that.
Here's the deal. I am very guilty of that because, again, I was raised Roman Catholic and I've had a lot of bad things go on and happen to me in my life. And there have been times, like I had a child pass away earlier on in my life. I was married once before and I had a child pass away, right? And that was during that phase in my life, I would say, see, that's the shit that I'm fucking talking about, because what the hell did I do to deserve this, right? I don't need a learning lesson. I feel like I've gone through a lot of learning lessons in life. And I, when I was younger, that would be my example. And I would say exactly what you just said, keeper. I'd be like, see, that's the bullshit. That's why I don't do that, because this guy doesn't fucking care anyway.
Yep. And there's so much there. And that's such a, I mean, we could talk for hours and hours on that and bring somebody on that's very much more educated on the topic than I am, but it's something that we've talked about a lot. Like, why do bad things happen to good people? And like, as an example, like if Charlie Kirk was such an evangelist and a stand-up warrior for his, then why would he die and leave his two children? Like, why would a loving God have that happen? Here's the deal. What's the word I'm looking for? That presupposes the idea that we as human beings have the thought process of God, that we can literally see and have foresight for what God has planned. So let's use the Charlie Kirk thing as an example. If we say, well, why do bad things happen to good people, and why does this happen? So Charlie Kirk dies. Okay, let's say he lives versus he dies. He lives and he continues to live on. He continues to do the things he's doing, and he continues to bring people boom, 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 and things grow. Whatever, right? Okay, great. Now the other side of that is he dies, and his movement, which we have seen like that, has exponentially, absolutely exploded we don't know the other side of why things happen, and it's a really hard thing to swallow. I'm going through some stuff in my personal life right now that I've been wrestling with and struggling with, like, why do we have to deal with X, Y, and Z? When am I going to see the end of this? When am I going to be able to see the other side of this? And I'm really working very hard on giving that to God and saying, you know what? I genuinely trust that you have a plan that's so much bigger and better. And so you know so much more of what's happening down the road than I do. Then I'm going to give this to you and I'm going to trust you. And I think that's really hard for people that don't have that relationship, because what are they leaning into? What are they believing? What are they trusting? They don't have that there to even lean on. So then it's backlash, and it's looking for things to dive into and argue about and be evil about and be hateful about. It's a whole, that's a whole tornado of, and then you get to see, because we all have this primally evil side of ourselves, right? Like we all have an evil inside of us. It's there, whether we whether we show it to others or not, it's there. And I think that we see that exposed in people that just have nothing to lean into, you know?
I love this comment from Crypto Billy. Words matter. The older you get, the more you understand. Words are vibrations, frequencies, and our job is to put positive words into the world. Words manifest. 100%, man. I'm a big fan. Again, what you state, you create kind of stuff. There's a lot of different sayings that you could say that kind of apply to that. And I firmly believe that you can manifest things with words, for sure.
Let's talk about freedom of speech real quick.
Okay.
We have also seen, as a result of all of this, right? So we were talking about how we were disgusted with people in crypto and spinning up tokens to try to make money off the back of a man who died in front of thousands of hundreds of thousands, millions of people, right?
Oh, really quick. The simple caveat on that is if you had a way to give his wife and family a lot of that money, and this was a support thing.
Oh, you're saying if it was used for, but we already know.
But we know that. I mean, that's why there was 40 of them, and they're from the serial ruggers and scammers and extractors, right? Like that's the problem. Those are the people that are the problem.
For sure. Free speech. One of the things that's been brought up is that how I should be able to say whatever I want. And listen, I'll be the first person to say, you're right. You should be able to say whatever you want, and feel free to say whatever it is that you want, even if it's hateful, vile, evil, just awful, in my opinion, in my estimation. If 99% of the world thinks that's what it is, fine, say it. But here's the thing. You having freedom of speech does not mean you have freedom from accountability. And there is a big distinction there, right? Say what you want. I use this as an example in a video, but if you walk into your place of business and you say, hey, screw you, screw everybody that's in your family, I hope you all burn in hell. Guess what? Do you have the freedom to say, sure, go for it. But don't think that that same boss doesn't have the freedom, if you will, and ability to fire you, right? And so when we say things, that's fine. You can say things to police officers. You can cuss out a police officer. You can do X, Y, and Z. You can do all. You have the ability to do all of these things. But when you say something that has a negative repercussion that comes back to you on the other side of it, that is just you being held accountable sometimes to something that you have said. The problem where we get into the distinction is like freedom of speech, like it's a war, I think, on truth. I think that's what we're dealing with right now. We were at a point in time back in 2020, and I won't use the word because you've told me not to use the word, where I could say something about COVID, and it would be objectively a truthful statement about masking, or about taking kids out of school, or about doing, saving the elderly versus, young kids that are creating more problems by putting this thing into their body. Any of that could be objectively real good information, and people are trying to silence it because guess what? That truth was hurting their pockets. And so now on the end of on this side of things, what's happening is the truth on a lot of the topics, the hot topics, is not good for business, and it's not good for the narrative, and it's not good for the division. Because if we could get people on the same side of understanding that we're trying to speak through and talk through and give a microphone for truth, and people could get on the same page, now we have a less divided country. A less divided country is going to be a lot harder country to control. And at the core of all of this, divided we stand, united we fall, but our government loves to see us divided. Let's just call it what it is.
Well, yeah, they don't love to see it. Well, yes, they love to see us divided because they need to have us divided. They cannot have us come together unified, because then they would be out of business. And like you said, government, all of that is just the biggest business you could imagine. It is pure and simple for profit, pay to play, all that stuff. And it doesn't matter the what's it called? The unintended consequences or a cannon fodder, right? That was something I actually looked up the definition to cannon fodder a few months ago, because you've heard it your whole life, but you just never really understood what it was. And if you don't know what cannon fodder is, cannon fodder are the expendable soldiers, right? Like, those are the first ones that you are going to send in there, and they are going to take the cannonballs. They're going to take the first line of bullets, and your whole idea is to see what happens, re-strategize, and then go from there. So you're basically sacrificing them. And so just frustrating.
I just feel like, and I feel like I'm going to use that word on purpose. I feel like so many people operate their entire lives on feelings anymore versus just factual information, or just that everything is so emotional. We've created this society full of just emotional responses, emotional videos, everything is sensationalized and emotional, and it's designed to do that. And that I don't know how we pull back from this, other than to try to figure out some sort of, for me, God-centric idea to bring people back down to earth and bring people back together. And I don't know that it's possible. I pray for it. I hope. I would love to see it. I would love to see more people not only come to Christ, but more people just be willing to have a conversations. We've talked about this before. Like, what happened to the time when we could just sit down and have a conversation? I had a conversation with a gentleman last week that I thought was a conservative. I'm doing business for him. We're building a composite deck for him. My company is. And I could tell that his wife was really liberal, and I could just tell it. And I thought that he was conservative. And I walked in, and it was the day after the Charlie Kirk thing. And he wanted to talk about that. And I didn't make the full on assumption. Like, I didn't go like just dive straight into it. I was careful because, we're doing a $35,000 deck for this guy. I didn't want to just, I didn't want to blow up the whole, So I tried to actually kind of, and this is sad, I tried to step away from the conversation with him. And I said, hey, so I found out that he was on the liberal side of the ball. But here's what I want to say without diving into the conversation. We had a 30-minute conversation over a big, large cup of coffee each, in which we both disagreed on multiple points, but had a literally solid conversation where I saw some points that he made and understood and had it. I was like, oh, you know what? I could see that. I can understand that. That makes sense. I could see how you could come to that conclusion. And then he saw some things that I said that he said, wow, you know what? I've never really given that some actual real thought. I've always just kind of, and he said it, I've always just kind of responded because I'm programmed to, oh, that's not it. And then we're waiting to speak. And we had a 30-minute conversation on totally different sides. We walked away. We shook hands. I'm still doing business there. We genuinely, neither of us changed sides or anything.
No, but you engaged in civil discourse.
We engaged in civil discourse back and forth. And he said things that I thought made sense. I said things that he thought made sense. And we both came to an agreement that, hey, we can think differently, but this has been a great conversation. And I'm really actually happy to be. Where did that go? Where did that go? We do not have that anymore. You cannot do it. I say you cannot do it.
I feel like in when you think about this and you try to analyze it a little bit more, I feel like the beginning of the downfall was Trump's first presidency, and you had to think the Trump, and we'll put the onus. I don't want to say that it's all their fault, but you have to think throughout that 4 years of his pregnancy.
Hey, listen, clip that, please, guys. Yeah. And just remember, Jay Chain said that Donald Trump had a 4-year-long pregnancy. Please clip that.
Long time.
You heard it here first. Just like everything else, just take the clip, run with it. That's what he said.
So the whole idea of that first 4 years of his presidency, do you guys remember every single day he was taking shit? Like I remember, like to me as a human being, like to just 4 years, every single day, to people having talking shit about you and all this stuff, and they loved him before. Remember that.
Oh, yeah.
Hollywood loved him before.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, this was like not a new thing, and all of a sudden he becomes a president. You know, everybody's values are different, yada yada yada. You know, grab him by the yada, the yahooza, all that stuff. You know, like that was the original in my mind. The beginning, that Trump derangement syndrome is what really screwed it up. And then I will tell you again, this is bipartisan. Is that the social engineering that was COVID? The idea of this was brought to us. This was designed. This screwed up a lot of people's mental states for sure. And I think that, you know what I mean? And they could never quite recover it from it. And then now, you know, you add the division of the people, the purebloods like myself who never got the shot versus the people who got waxed and boosted and vaxxed and, you know, did everything they could. And, you know, it's just, to me, that everything that we've been doing in this country for the last 10 years has just been, unfortunately, has been tribal.
It's been tribal in nature, of course. Don't you think?
And
I mean,
absolutely divisive, and the media doesn't give us any fucking chance of making it any better. And again, now you throw in the fact that social media, we are the new media, and we can't get that right because, again, everybody's quick to, oh, this happened or this happened. I remember even when the day that Charlie was shot, you know, there were media outlets that were reporting way early that he had been passed away. You know, before you heard from someone like Trump who said, I just talked to the Kirk family, this is what happened, or I just talked to this person, this is what happened, and they were the ones to actually break it. You had all these media outlets, that's what they published that shit right off the rip without any facts.
You also had a media outlet that said, we don't know if this was a supporter of Charlie popping off a shot in celebration and he accidentally shot him in the neck.
Like that to me, I think that was MSNBC who said that. Yeah. That is so disgusting. You have to be either the executive producer or whoever allowed that to go out, and even if an intern put it out, like you got to be he said it
on live TV. Like he just came out and just said it. Here's the thing, like I saw there is a news outlet now that goes, it's not Newsmax, it's maybe News Nation or something. I have to look this up. I forget what it is. Actually, I know who sent it to me. Hold on, I'm gonna tell you in 1 second.
Make sure you guys smash that like button
while I look this up. It is, drum roll please, it's News Nation. Okay, I'm not promoting this. I don't get paid for this. I'm just telling you, it is the most middle of the road I've ever seen, non-partisan, like just here's the news like I wish the news, you know, could be, without giving a spin on things. And it was really refreshing because I genuinely think that the tribalism that I was talking about that has been created and continued to press forward through COVID and all the things past that we continue is a huge part of the whole problem that we're talking about. We're not trying to beat a dead horse here, but part of it is the fact that the news media they are pushing a narrative. You've seen the things where like 80 different news outlets say the exact same sentence structured in the exact same.
They put the clips, but it's the exact same thing.
Yeah, it's the exact same thing. And I don't know. I pray for a world when people can think for themselves. When we can, because I do pride myself on the fact that I feel like I'm very level-headed and I will hear something and I will listen to it and I will look into it and I will kind of, you know, work through what I think makes sense, what doesn't make sense. And I remember even back when, you know, COVID stuff was going on, I told my mom right off the bat, I was like, this doesn't make sense, Mom. I'm telling you, this is not what they're portraying this to be. And it's not good. And anyway, fast forward, they're on the same, you know, the playing field as I am. And I just think that, yeah, people need to be able to figure out to think for themselves. And I had one other thing that I wanted to, give me a second. Fill the dead air for me, Jay. I had something really that I wanted to share with you guys that was on my heart that we talked about earlier before the show that I want to bring up. give
All
me
right, yeah,
some.
what do you think about that? You know, let me just ask you guys that you are listening here. You're kind of maybe sitting there thinking about what we're talking about, wondering like, what the fuck, this isn't crypto, but why are these crypto guys talking about this? And I think it's really important to again to have these kind of conversations. And yeah, do Keeper and I kind of think very similar on a lot of different topics? Yeah. Do we also think differently on some things? Yeah. Well, I want to know from you guys down in the comment, like, what do you think? What do you think about shows like this, where the whole idea is to get people to really start stoking the conversation and to be able to engage in civil discourse. And again, even if you disagree, even if you are a purple hair or a blue hair, or green hairs are typically the worst for whatever reason. That green dye makes you crazy. But the whole idea of we can be different, we can have different ideas, different ideals, but we don't have to fucking shoot each other because you disagree with somebody. And I think finding ways to get those conversations out, and if it's people like Keeper and I to keep talking about this kind of stuff, and that makes other people feel good or gives you a place to come listen, engage in the chat, or even offline have a conversation with one of us, please do. Please engage in conversation if this is something you think is important. So smash the like button, drop in the comment what you think about shows like this, and hopefully that gave you enough time, my guy.
It didn't, because I'm just having a brain fart, but I do, but just kind of rallying off of what you just said, I really do. I hated the fact that my my TikTok that had like 150K before the extortion stuff happened, before that ever happened, I had a number of strikes on there. And if you actually looked at the content of what I was putting out there, none of it was ever hateful. None of it was ever anything other than just, hey, this is how I view X, Y, and Z. And if the liberal company that is TikTok, right, didn't like what I was pushing out that was getting a lot of views, they would shut it down. And they have this system where like it's shut it down first and ask questions later. And I feel like the part of the problem with that is people then get scared to have conversation. You and I, listen, for those of you watching, Jay and I said, are we going to go there today? And my response, jokingly, but it was very real too, like, what's the worst thing that's going to happen? They're going to shut down our 800 views that we get on this video. Like at the end of the day, shutting down the conversations is the bigger part of the problem, as I alluded to earlier, talking about in interpersonal relationships. If you just let things brood and boil and don't discuss and talk. And in the chat, I've seen people talking about something like TJ Welch has said, it's honestly better to put your trust in God rather than in man. That can be a very like touchy subject that some people will say, well, wait a minute, well, what is God? Like, people can take any little piece part of whatever that are sitting behind a keyboard and twist a very simple construct into something way more than it is. They'll say things behind a computer screen, behind a keyboard, that they would never say to your face. We live in a world full of very brave keyboard warriors that would never say some of the things that they would say, they'll say things that they would never say to your face, period, point blank.
But to go back to accountability with that, man, how can we start to keep people accountable online without
that's what it was. Yes. Thank you. Yes. You want to know where the freaking conservatives are dead wrong right now, right? You guys see the hat and everybody thinks, oh, this guy's got to just MAGA this. No, let me tell you where we are freaking dead wrong. And I'm going to say I would never do this, but I'm seeing it happen. Posting people's addresses, home addresses online because you don't like them celebrating Charlie. Listen, I don't like it either. My mom said that I had a righteous anger. Yes. My mom said, son, what you have going on right now is what we call righteous anger. You have this thing welling up inside of you that you feel like a holy man was gunned down, that a man of God was gunned down. That's a man that you are. And you have this righteous anger. But at the same time, you are allowed to have that righteous anger, but do not promote and continue to propagate. Effectively, what that does, because of the crazy world that we live in, right, left, center, anywhere, you're basically saying, hey, here's where this person lives, just in case a crazy wants to go over. Why do you need their address? Call their business. I don't care about any of that. You want them held accountable? Fine. You do not put people's personal freaking addresses online as a list for people to see because you don't like the fact that they celebrated somebody's death. I don't like it either, but that's way out of line, bro.
Way out of line, because what are the consequences? What happens? What are the intentions of there? What, some crazy person decides to swat that person, and then you thinking you're in the middle of your night, you're sleeping, someo's breaking into your house, so you grab your cat and you go to war. And all of a sudden you're like you're in with the wrong people. Like, no, like that's not a good situation. You know, like, two, you get a bunch of crazy people just to show up at someone's house. Now, you know, they might have a family and kids, and now they're camping outside of the door saying weird shit, and your kids got to deal with this. It's just, no, man, there's better ways. There are better ways to deal with this than to dox people, than to put people's lives in jeopardy. I mean, again, people have felt like, what is it? Is it an obligation? Is it this where they feel like they're more important than they actually are? Because I think
it's a narcissistic. We live in a narcissistic society, bro. It's all about me, and I'm gonna do what feels good for me, and everybody else comes next after me.
I'm telling you, dude, this is supposed to be my year to be narcissistic. It is, because I'm struggling financially. I'm struggling. I don't have friends anywhere I live. I am supposed to make a conscious effort to be a narcissist, and I cannot, because those people are such fucking embarrassments to humanity.
Yeah.
I can't even do it. I can't.
Yeah.
How the fuck do people just like, that's the way that they normally are? We all know them. We all know them in this space. I saw a comment a second ago from Chuck a Coin. Saying, does crypto weed out the crazed, or does crypto have the same level of crazies in it? Your guess is as good as mine, and I would say there's probably more fucking retards in crypto than there are in normal life. You know what I mean?
We've been to so many events and seen so much stuff on the side of, listen, I genuinely think that's a great question. I know it's probably a little bit tongue in cheek, but at the same time, it's a great question. I think that you get a very good mix of absolute insanity, and you get a very good mix of down-to-earth people, and then just some people that are floating somewhere in between. But at the end of the day, what is unacceptable, no matter where you sit, no matter if you love crypto, no matter if you love fiat, no matter if you're trans, if you're gay, if you're straight, if you're somewhere in between, if you're left, if you're right, if you're atheist, if you're Christian, I don't care what you are. We are not going to promote the idea that disagreeing with someone should be able to allow me to not only be violent, but to celebrate violence, because it's not it. And I'm going to tell you, as someone who, I was in the Marine Corps, I've had some very real life experiences surrounding violence that I don't talk about, that are like way more violent than any of you I can all but guarantee most of you have never experienced the level of violence that have been in my life before. It's not fucking cool. It's not something that you celebrate. It's not, you know, I get riled up about it because the majority of people that want to celebrate violence are big pussies that couldn't beat their way out of a wet paper bag, that if you confronted them with real deal, face to face, like, hey, let's throw down, it ain't going to end well for that person. And yes, and it's not like, hey, let me show you how I can be much more strong and violent and this, that. No, what I'm trying to say is that, like, we can love each other and lift each other up through the chaos, not tear each other down, put people's addresses out, create more violence, more division, and then we're farther away from the truth and farther away from the ultimate end result that we need to in the first place. And crypto's right in the middle of it, with the fact that we've got money involved, because guess what? All of this crap comes down to, in one way or another, in a very sneaky way sometimes, in a very in-your-face way sometimes, it comes down to freaking money. People are doing anything they can for clicks. Why? Because of money. They want to beat you to the punch. Why? Because of money, because of narcissism, because of whatever the case may be. Money's involved. And now crypto is this new money thing where people like to show off, people like to flex, people like to do this. We like to spin up coins about Charlie Kirk, because why? So we can make more money. Why do we want to make more money? To buy shit. Like, people, dude, it just, it makes me sick.
I'm with you.
It makes me sick. And then last thing I want to say on that is, then I see, people will try to take and spin like anything that they can. And there's a guy that's a friend of mine that I would say still is a friend of mine, that I used to sell cars with years ago. And he is just all over, just reposting all of this anti-Charlie Kirk stuff. And one of the things that was reposted was like, I'm not going to get this exactly right, but it basically said like, oh, well, Republicans, wouldn't be continuing to carry on about this if it was a first grader. And I'm like, hold on, let me hit the pause button here. Okay. No life, whether it's a first grader or a 31-year-old man, in Charlie Kirk's case, right? No life is any more valuable than another life. This is not about a first grader versus Charlie Kirk. This would be about Charlie Kirk, one of the most influential people in I'll just say in our nation's history, in our nation's recent history, was assassinated live in front of millions of people for the whole world to see and the whole world to talk about. The difference is not the value of the life. The difference is the first grader, nobody knew. The first grader, nobody had any information on. The first grader was not out speaking and trying to make change at this point in their life. They never had the opportunity to. So is it still disgusting that a first grader was mowed down at a school or whatever? 100%. Does it make their life worth any less or more? 100%, absolutely not. But don't make the comparison of that Republicans are celebrating this person, but not this person because they're elevating Charlie Kirk versus a first grader. No, it's just the set of facts are that one person has been heavily, in the news media for how long and doing X, Y, and Z and doing all these things where the other one was an unfortunate child that no one knows anything about. You cannot make that freaking distinction. Don't try to make the comparison. It's disgusting to try to defend and try to toss out, like basically demonize us for wanting to stand up and say enough's enough and we need to see a change. And the reality is on the school thing, we don't have shootings at gun shows. We don't have shootings at stadiums anymore. We don't have shootings at airports. Why? Because all of those places, you've got to get through some heavy security to get in, and you have armed people there. Why are we not doing that for our freaking children? And that's something Charlie Kirk has talked about a lot. Why are we not doing the same thing for children that we're doing for everybody in the freaking airports? And it's wrong, dude, because we should be protecting our children, if not them, more than anybody, because they are the future. They are the next ones that are going to come up. They are the ones that when we're old and we don't have a say in things are going to be the ones that are going to be there for us, hopefully. It's wrong, and we need to fix it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Oh, you're good, man. Listen, I think that today this is important. This is the important shit to be talking about. These are hard conversations sometimes, are uncomfortable for some people to deal with. And I know we said maybe, like I said earlier, some things tongue in cheek, and you try to edutainment is really what we're trying to push with this show, where it's, again, we don't want to be stuffy and stuck up, and we wanted to have some fun with it, but we also want to get a message across and be serious. And trust me, bro, and like, look, you and I I don't know if we wear our hearts on our sleeves, but we are actual, just real people. We've had some really cool things happen. We've had some really tough things happen, and I think we understand a little bit more about what's going on in the world, plus crypto, right? And I think we've been in the space long enough. And so again, I'll go back to the whole idea of having these kind of discourse shows, and we got to agree on a lot of things. There was no point where there was a lot of contention, and I never really thought there was going to be anyway, but we can try to find some ways to bring that up to where, maybe we do have a difference of opinion on some stuff. But I think the more that we can get people to engage, and if you are on the opposite side of the aisle,
let's hear it.
What's that? Let's hear
it. Let's talk about it.
Let's talk. Yeah. I'm okay with that. I think, the whole idea of engaging in the civil discourse with people, it is a forgotten art. It is a forgotten thing where nobody cares. Nobody is willing to sit, and whether it's because of the social, again, I don't really know if social media is the cause for all of these problems, but if you psychoanalyze it, you think people don't have attentions anymore. People don't have an intention to do anything, and maybe that does include sit down and have a conversation and listen to someone else, because everybody feels like they're so important that it doesn't matter what you say. I'm not even going to fucking listen to what you're saying because we don't agree, and fuck you.
That's one of the most wild things that I over the last week that I thought about was that, and I heard this talked about, was that, like, wait a minute. If I genuinely didn't love and care about these people, why would I give them a microphone? I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about Charlie Kirk as an example. Why would you give them a microphone with a full open to say, and people would throw some wild stuff at? Why would you give them a microphone if you genuinely didn't care or want to have a discourse and conversation about things? We need to do it more. Maybe J Chains, maybe we can just randomly, and we'll tie crypto into this because obviously we're, you know, a lot of you are here for crypto as well. Maybe we can find some people that do think like incredibly different than us and have a sit down conversation about it. And that, because what I like, here's what I liked about the conversation that I had with the gentleman that I'm doing business for. I like the fact that I literally sat down with a man that philosophically thinks, dude, I'm talking, he was thinking different than me. And when we talked about January 6th, like the conversation, I was like, oh boy, should I back out now? Like this, should I bail? But then I thought about it. I was like, no, you know what? Stand on your convictions, be kind, be loving, talk through how, and bro, we made ground on that topic. And I was like, man, why can more people not hit the pause button, take a breath, and have the conversations? And that's what we want to do. So maybe we can find some people to come on the show that want to have the conversations. And maybe, you know, maybe it's a, you know, maybe at first it's XRP, right? Because we got Jenna who, you know, loves XRP, and then, you know, we'll get Crusader to come on with, oh shoot, what's Zach Rector, you know, the switch is getting flipped, and Crusader's going to be like, bro, you are absolutely full of shit, you are lying to every, and we can have like crypto conversations, but then have some real life conversations as well, because the life conversations are what allow us to make good decisions with our money, which allow us to make good decisions with our kids, which allow us to make a better world moving forward, which allow, I mean, bro, it snowballs, it moves forward.
Would you ever have on, for this, just for the sake of this discourse that is civil, would we bring on people from the Hex and the Pulse community?
Dude, I'm open to any of it. And I know you know that, but seriously, why not? Why not be the place where, hey, you think you want to have some real deal conversation? Let's have them. Let's talk. Listen, my mind, genuinely, I am not somebody that 1000% you can't change my mind. If someone brings something to me that is solid all the way through, and I can do 1 + 1 = 2, 2 + 2 = 4, and 4 + 4 = 8 × 2 is 16, and so on. And like, I can like put that together, and it's not against my moral compass, against my Christian values. Change my mind, bro. I mean, I know that's the thing, change my mind, whatever, but it's real, right? Chuck a Coin said, I wanted to hit this. He said, Keeper's my next write-in at the ballot box. I appreciate
there you
it, bro.
There you go. He's president.
I think we have the conversations, man. And I think that I think the world is going to be, in a very strange way, Charlie Kirk is going to be missed, whether you realize it or not. This is going to be a much bigger movement, and I think God is going to use this in a very, very big way, and I think lives are going to be changed. I've been having conversations with people recently that have not been, and I'm not just talking about church, but I'm just talking about have not had their relationship with Jesus or relationship with much of anybody or anything tell me like, hey, I went to church. I had a couple people tell me that this week.
There was actually a viral video. I saw this video of a guy. He was, he got emotional in it. He was talking about after all this stuff, he's been doing some evaluating, and this was not the person that he was, right? That was not where he's at. But since then, his wife for his birthday got him a suit. He's like, I look fucking good in this suit. He's getting emotional. He's like, it makes me want to go to church. It makes me want to, have these conversations. It makes me want to have something different in my life, because I'm noticing that. And I say you people, and this is definitely not pointing at anybody on the other side of this, not pointing at you, but just metaphorically, you people are so fucked up in your head. Y'all need something different. And listen, I'm at the stage in my life where I need a shakeup too. Whether it's I need a new place to live or I need a new group of friends. Y'all know that my friend base kind of fucking evaporated. One went nuts and the other one moved away. So it's like I need different stuff in my life, and I feel like that resonates with a lot of other people. Like we all need a shakeup. We all need something a little bit different. Don't just, I keep telling myself, and you've heard me say, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results, right? And that's why, I look at this, even like what I'm doing with my shows. Like, I don't do 10 o'clock in the morning every single morning anymore. You know why? Because it wasn't fucking working. I wasn't making a dime from. In fact, it's putting me in such a bad position. Because like I thought, to me, I got to connect with my community at the detriment to like my financial stability. right? And
Yeah.
so it's time to just it's time for a shakeup. It's time to look for other things in our lives that might give us different purpose, that might help us, that might find a different path, that might set us into being a better person. You guys hear me all the time talking about the 1% better thing. And like you even said, Keeper, a little bit ago, like, maybe, man, I forget what it was. It was almost like the regression, like sometimes, or the way that you talk, right? Sometimes you don't speak like a Christian, but most times you do. And so even with like the 1% better that I say with my life and the philosophy and everything that I try to push across, to me, I put in my life because I feel like and that's why it's been such a big force within the last couple of months, is because I need that change. I need to make myself, even though I'm not a bad person, but I think the cognizant effort of doing things better, being a little bit more calculated, being a little bit more meticulous on some stuff might ultimately net a different result, which is what I'm fucking craving. I'm craving a different result. And I think a lot of people could probably sit there, and if you look at your life, if you evaluate some things, you're probably looking for a different result.
And I think that is very well said. And I think that a lot of us in the chat, a lot of us here, and Jay, you and I are parents. And I talked about the next generation, and we are the ones that influence that, right? We are the ones that influence what can happen in this next generation. We are ultimately the next generation in one way or another, or we are at least molding, shaping, and kind of being that platform to help them springboard forward. What is it that we're going to teach our kids? Are we going to teach our kids to be emotionally responsive to everything that we see? Are we going to teach our kids that immediately the first thing that they see, they should just boom, respond in emotion? Or are we going to teach our kids that, hey, you should take in information, you should process that information, you should look into it a little bit, you should make your own, come to your own conclusions, combined with maybe your spiritual, thoughts, your inner spirit, your whoever it is that you are, your moral compass, take all of those things. Is that what we're going to teach our kids? Because I don't care, even if you're not a Christian, like I said before, the biblical principles that are at play are good for humanity. Period. It doesn't need to be. I want it to be a Jesus thing because I want to see all of you in heaven with me someday. But it doesn't need to be a Jesus thing. It can just be a, hey, let's utilize biblical principles here and let's try to get better. Like J Chain says, 1% at a time, every single day. How do we communicate? Dutchie says, how do we communicate? How do we negotiate? How do we do these things? How do we teach these children that are so precious to us that we want to see move forward and become better? I mean, I want my daughter, I want to leave an impact on this world, and I want my daughter to be a part of that. I want her to receive the benefits of it, but then I want her to impact the world that much more than I do. And I want her kids to do the same. And like, ultimately, if we can we can pull out the good and the love in people, as opposed to the friction and the hate that is so rampant right now, I think we have an opportunity to change what's happening. I don't know, man. I love everybody here. I appreciate you guys for being here. I never even looked today. I don't care if there was 10 people here or if there was 10,000 people. I appreciate you guys for being here. I know Jay appreciates you guys from being here. Maybe, Jay, we can grab some cool clips. Maybe AI can help us grab some cool clips or something from today.
Be locked and loaded with some sound bites from today for sure.
Yeah, I like it. And hey, guys, we're going to be we'll be doing a lot of different kinds of stuff on here. We told you guys from the beginning, we want to do entertainment, we want to do crypto, but we want the name to ring true. Trust me, bro. Like, we're trying to have real deal conversations because we feel like so much fluff happens, so much just happens, and a lot of it in the crypto space, like we were talking about today. So
yeah, it's just shit. So
Jimbo says, teach humility. I love it. Yes. Dutchie, thank you guys for all being here. They said great stream. Jay Chains, love you,
everybody. Bro. Travis, Mike Vollmer, Dutchie said Crusader is a legend. Absolutely. Jimbo, Chuck a Coin, Crypto Billy, everybody that tuned in, tapped in. Anthony, you left a comment. Appreciate you guys. If you are watching the replay, there was a few times throughout the show where we said, drop something down there, or let me know what this format, whether it's on my stream or on Keepers, it doesn't matter. Comments, we appreciate it. We look at them all, and we'll be back again next week with another topic, and maybe there'll be a little bit more crypto in it, and we'll definitely be talking some fighting because we'll be closer to Singapore. But I hope you guys have a great week. Thank you. That's it. We out you.
Out.